Hi, I'm Max Brooks, and this is Max Brooks Breaks Down, where I try to break down all the big global issues around me before they break me down. I had initially planned to possibly put out one video a month, space it out evenly. That was the plan. But events in Ukraine are happening so fast, and I'm interviewing people with practical knowledge that maybe, hopefully, will be useful to the people over there. So that's why we're getting these out as fast as we can. And that's why we're going to jump into episode 2 of Max Brooks Breaks Down. I am here with Les Stroud, otherwise known as Survivorman, and he got that name because he was the very first person to go into the wilderness with a camera, just him, and teach us how to survive. And he's not just gone into the wilderness. He did a documentary about what to do if you are trapped in a city during a natural disaster, which our last guest, Colonel John Spencer, said is very similar to being trapped in a city during a war. So, Les, if you were to talk to the people in that position right now, people who are in an underground parking structure or their basement, urbanites who don't have the best supplies or no training or either, how would you reassure them that they can make it?
Yes, that's a great way to start off, Max, and I will address directly to the people in Ukraine. Hopefully, the food you can get from here on in, or the food you have, is the type where you don't have to worry about preserving it, and especially, here's a tricky one, or cooking it. In a scenario like this, it's better to have food you can grab and eat. Anything inside that requires heat means that there is poisonous and deadly gas that is off-gassing. So you must have ventilation or you will kill yourself from the fumes.
Les, you make a good point about rationing, because I think we always assume that if you have a limited amount of food, you've got to ration it as long as possible. But what you're saying is we should separate, say, the adults from the people who are sitting passively, as opposed to the adults who may have work to do, physical labor to do that benefits the community. And those people, you're saying, should not ration as much. Those people need to be fed because food is fuel. And if they're not fueled, they can't work to help everyone else.
That's an excellent point, Max. And it's a very difficult decision to make. First of all, those of us in that position are the first ones to say, I don't need any food. You take it, give it to the children, give it to my wife. But my father, my senior father or mother, but in many ways, they're the ones that can, or maybe need to, stay put, ration a little more, relax. They don't need as much food. This is not vacation times here. When it comes to the water scenario, water is far more important to you right now, actually, than food, to be honest with you. Then just remember this measurement, 8 drops in 1 gallon. 8 drops in 1 gallon, 8 drops in 1 gallon. Just remember that. 8 drops of chlorine bleach in a gallon of water will purify, will kill all the bacteria and so on. When you see this chance to have fresh water, take it. If you see the chance to store fresh water, take it. Keep cool, dry place, keep it out of the sun. And that's going to be vital for you right now.
Now, when we talk about warmth, this is winter, especially for people in Eastern Europe. It is cold. They are in underground shelters. And by the very nature of that shelter, concrete just sucks all the heat right out of you. And as you have said before, you can't build a bonfire down there if there's no ventilation. It does more harm than good. It could asphyxiate you. So let's say you're down in an underground concrete structure. You cannot build a fire. What can you do to keep yourself and your loved ones warm?
I'm saying find the ways to get yourself up off the floor. Don't be a hero here. Don't sleep on the cold cement. Find anything that you think might be a blanket or suffice as a blanket, use it. Throw away our old conventions of how we're supposed to sleep and be. This is an emergency.
when we talk about eating, we also have to talk about what happens when the food comes out, because obviously if you don't dispose of your waste, of your poo, that's a hygiene risk, that's a disease risk. Let's say you are in your basement or your underground shelter and there is no flush toilet. How do you dispose safely of your waste?
Well, then it goes beyond that, Max, because what we're really speaking about here is proper hygiene. I could go an awful long time with smelly armpits and dirty fingernails, but you can't go very long with genitalia and our nether regions being unclean. Sores develop, rashes develop, very painful. Every waking moment becomes painful. Soap becomes very precious. You see soap, take it. Bars of soap, save them. All kinds of soap. Don't waste the soap and the water on washing the non-necessities, the non-essentials like your outside shirt or your jacket or your jeans or something. Don't. This is all about your body close to you, your underwear, and maybe that cotton t-shirt that you're wearing, you know, or maybe you have a couple. Those items that are close to your body, those are the ones that you can sacrifice a bit of time and water and soap for to keep clean, because boy, you can get up and go from that. You can do what you need to do, but you try being effective when you can't hardly walk because there's chafing, if you will, with your skin. This is people, it's not something anybody ever talks about in a survival situation, but it's number one for me.
Now, obviously, if you're under bombardment, if there's shelling, you can't dispose of your waste. You have to wait till it's safe. But are you saying that when the shelling stops, if there is going to be someone who's going to leave the shelter anyway for some other task, their task should also be to carry the waste out, number one, and number two, there should also be a designated place, that it is a marked place, so that way it's not just scattered everywhere?
Oh, absolutely. The lack of sanitation and feces will all over the place quickly degrades a situation to the most disgusting proportions, as you can well imagine. So you got a shovel, you can dig a hole, dig a hole. You know, somebody strong enough and able to dig a hole, dig a hole. You know, find that burying sanitation is the greatest answer you can have at this point, because let's face it, if it's left out and it's not tied up in a plastic bag, now we have to deal with flies and such, and rats and things like that. And that becomes another nightmare.
Thank you, Les. Thank you for all these simple, basic, necessary tips to keep people alive.
Thank you very much. It's, again, as you said, I'm happy to be part of the community this way, in this one small way. Max, I'm familiar with, I know that your historical background and your family line goes back to this area. And so if there's anything like this I can do to support, and again, I like to point out the true hardcore and sometimes harsh realities of the situation, so that once everybody there, once all of you in Ukraine have that in your mind, then you can have hope, because you know what to do.
Thank you for watching. If you're interested in hearing more survival tips from Les Stroud, you can order his book, Survive. You can watch his show, Survivorman. You can follow him on Twitter. Likewise, you can subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter, and otherwise, I'll see you next time.